we know that now that younger children and teenagers shouldn't be lumped together when it comes to the way that we handle their COVID infections. Teens seem to shed virus at about the same rates as adults. But as you said, children, they might even have high levels of virus, but it's not clear why they don't develop symptoms as often as adults do. So what are the implications of this regarding in-person versus virtual schooling at, let's say, elementary school and then middle and high school?
Well, I think the most important thing we need to say is that clearly the best way to control to open schools safely is to control COVID in the community, right? If we can bring community levels down, and when I mean down, I mean below 10 cases per 100,000 population, ideally even lower than that, 5 cases per 100,000 population, then you don't have to worry about these issues. When you have ongoing transmission, then it's a very different story. Then you have to worry about it. Then you have to say, hey, what are we going to do? Who is likely not to get sick, In general, younger kids are probably safer going back to school. I think about older kids, adolescents, high school, a little bit like I think of colleges, right? I mean, they're gonna get infected and they're gonna bring the infection home. So if I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna make sure that those kids, and they're gonna be, most of them are asymptomatic when they bring the infection home. So if I have at home, if I'm in a multi-generational household, and the weekend we're gonna go see grandma or grandpa, I will make sure that adolescent doesn't go, or if they go, they're wearing a mask because they could be infected and they could be transmitting the disease. There was an interesting paper recently in PNAS and Procedures National Academy of Science that talked about this reduced development of COVID in children and looking at potential sort of checkpoints, molecular checkpoints that can illuminate into the pathogenesis. And one of the things that is interesting in that paper is that children do appear to have less receptors for the virus in their respiratory epithelium. And that may be one of the reasons that is driving sort of a lower infections in children and a lower impact of disease in children. Understanding why children do better, I think, will be really critical in understanding what kind of treatments and preventions we need to do, because clearly there may be some protection from other coronavirus infections. There may be differences in their T-cell responses. So there are a couple of things that I think are real interesting in children that are very, clearly children and adults respond very differently to these viruses.